Let's talk about Kenny Pickett, who just finished his 5th year at the University of Pittsburgh, earned some Heisman Trophy votes in his 5th season. Ian, Pickett had a monstrous 5th year. I mean, I think he nearly tripled his touchdowns for his career in college in his final year at Pitt. So what was the biggest thing that he improved on, or biggest takeaway from that final year that really took him to the serious heights, I guess, of this past season?
Yeah, he really benefited from going from more of a spread system, more integrating spread concepts, getting the ball out quickly. He dealt with a really bad offensive line as well as some of the other quarterbacks in this class. I think he did a better job of managing pre-snap and post-snap, dealing with that pressure. Just as a creator too, I think he knew his limitations a lot better. You constantly see him going to his right side to escape the pocket, even in a clean pocket. I think that's a really good awareness of him, just to know like what he needs to do to throw a catchable ball and to keep the chains moving. So I think some of it was just understanding of himself, and then understanding of a system that really tailored his skill set.
Now, you can remind me, but the offensive play caller there did leave Pittsburgh after this year. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Do you remember who it was?
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, but anyways, he's out of town, so it'll be interesting what they're going to do moving forward. But I think the biggest thing I had, what you mentioned, is the pre-snap reads, and there's a constant comparison to Joe Burrow. I mean, it's been running rampant since the season ended after Burrow's big season, and I think that was the biggest thing in terms of success for Burrow was pre-snap. He was great against the blitz, so I think that's an easy way to make that comparison. But what do you kind of take, or what do you think of that comparison of Burrow and Pickett?
Yeah, I think on the baseline, like you can see some similar things. Like neither has like the strongest arm.
Right.
Both of them do play with a lot of confidence outside of the pocket. They do look downfield, especially as plays develop. And I think that there's certainly a toughness, and I think that there's a good accuracy. Like I wouldn't say Kenny Pickett is super accurate. I would say he is on short passes in particular. He is phenomenal on short passes, just like Joe Burrow was. And I think that just like the athleticism, the ability to extend plays, they're not super athletic dudes in terms of like NFL rushing quarterbacks, but they are as far as buying time in the pocket. And so I think that there is like a good general skill set similarity there to be able to say like the bones are strong, to be able to say like you can build an offense around X, Y, and Z in these players. And then it just depends on like the upper end skills. And I think that's where Burrow really separated himself. Was he obviously had superstar qualities, and we saw that very prevalently throughout LSU's championship winning season.
Yeah. The other thing that you mentioned that I wanted to go back to as well was just the athletic ability. I mean, you watch it on tape and it's like a sneaky athleticism that I think almost every quarterback in this day and age of football needs to kind of have. I think a guy like Mac Jones, I think the upside on him is a fair bit more limited just because of his lack of athleticism. So I think that's a good point. And then what are some of the biggest things you take away from him in terms of the traits you like and that are going to translate to the next level?
Yeah, I think he gets the ball out on time pretty well on like certain design plays, right? Like so in breaking routes, slants over the middle, he was between like the numbers on the field, like literally between the numbers, he was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like those throws, I think he had like 90% accuracy rate between even short, intermediate, and deep. Like he was devastatingly good up the middle of the field. It dropped quite a bit outside the numbers. He was still good on 0 to 10 throws. But beyond that, you started to see a little bit more of that variance. You started to see more of those limitations. So I think you can get him into an offense early, kind of simplify things. Really reminded me of like early career Kirk Cousins, where he's going to take the check down. He's going to keep the ball moving. He's not going to always check down per se, but he will take the check down quicker. He just wants to get the ball out. He wants to protect the offense, protect the ball. Didn't put the ball in harm's way too often. So pretty much fits like that game manager role. Especially early on, I think that there is value to that. There's especially value to that for teams that need to win pretty early and can't get their hands on a veteran. So you can kind of put him in that role to guide the offense more so than be the superstar of the offense. And then you're hoping just for like the big plays occasionally to kind of put points on the board. Right.
So I'm thinking now back to the playoffs in the NFL. We saw the Bengals playing, dropping like as much as 8 into coverage. And the checkdowns, I think, was important. I think what was a struggle for Mahomes and the Chiefs offense this year was, the less of the willingness to check the ball down and push it downfield, and we're we're playing these two high safety looks. Like, I think that's going to be the look for a ton of teams as we move forward over the next few years. Is that, I almost feel like that quality with him is a really good one, as limited as he might be in terms of making splash plays, but I think it's still a good thing for any NFL team, especially the ones, like you said, are looking to compete early. So I do really like that about him as well. What is the thing that's going to keep him from playing at a high level in year one? Like, what are the limitations other than just, the deep ball and the splash plays?
Yeah, it still concerned me a lot. Like pre-snap wise, I don't think he's where you want him to be for a 4-year starter. He doesn't necessarily see leverage extremely well. I think he is still too quick to take what he sees as open, as opposed to someone who can kind of finesse the coverage, who can finesse the defender, either with his eyes or with his shoulders. You're doing those little movements to kind of get somebody open. You're buying time to get them open. I don't see the pocket manipulation from him that you really want to see. It's more of like, here's my guy. I'm going to look at him. He's either going to be open or he's not. And then if he's not, I'm just going to roll out, which is 99% of the time to the right. And I'm going to kind of cut down the field to that amount of space and those few targets. And so I don't know that he can kind of create beyond that. He needs to be a little bit more creative, for lack of a better word. When he does get outside the pocket, he does need to kind of be willing to break his own trends, which worked as a senior, but it won't work, for a 17-game schedule. And so for him, it's just being more about, I think, not necessarily play looser, but it's just be able to improvise in different ways, be able to win pre-snap, like see a coverage before it happens, see the blitz before it happens, and just kind of have that confidence, have that knowledge to know where it goes. And I don't want to punish him too much for it, especially because like it was a new offense for him. Like it's a 1-year thing. And so it's not like polish. If I'm going to get an older guy, I want the polish of an older guy. So for him, he's got to get up to speed fast. Okay.
I like that. I think this is where we mentioned it earlier with Burrow and Pickett, is that Burrow has maybe a little bit better feel for identifying the blitz is a good differentiation point between the two. Other thing, I think the commonplace here is with him being seen as the top quarterback in this class. Is he, now feel free to throw anyone else out here if you think you disagree, but is he the most NFL ready quarterback in terms of an immediate starter in year one?
I don't think so. I think I would still, I know like there's variance with all of these guys, right? Like if I were to put trust into anyone, I'd be putting it Malik Willis. I'd have Malik Willis ready to play day one over Kenny Pickett. And part of that is just because like he plays freely. He plays without limitations, where I feel like Pickett has his, and while he's knowledgeable about his limitations,
right,
I don't know that he has a way to overcome when defenses account for that. Like as a defender, I'm going to be putting like spy coverage to his right-hand side and kind of force him to stay inside the pocket. And that, I think that could break Pickett. Like, I don't know how he's going to react to that, because he didn't deal with a lot of teams really scouting him extremely well. Mm-hmm. We didn't get the chance to see him in the bowl game against Michigan State, which that would have been a really good opportunity to see a great defensive coordinator, or at least defensive mind, kind of stop what he does best and keep him in the pocket. I would like to see Sam Howell too. I think Sam Howell in the right situation could play day one and play at a higher level than Pickett. But I do think Pickett has the ability to, right? Like if he's in the same, if he's in a good situation where he's protected, I think that's a big thing for him. He's not going to be the type to survive with a below average offensive line. He did it at Pitt, did a really good job managing it. But I don't think that's his spot in the NFL. He's going to be like that Ryan Tannehill type currently, where Tannehill has a good offensive line, really great playmakers. The scheme is advantageous to him, and he's able to, this last year he didn't play great, but last year, 2021, he played really, really well. So I think he's going to be like some of the parts type of player. You can prop him up with a really good supporting cast.
Right. And Howell went from having one of the best supporting casts in all of college football to really like not great parts otherwise. Chandler was there with the back coming in, but in terms of everywhere else, there wasn't a lot of support for him. So I can see that. I do like Howell, but I think the biggest problem with people is that they didn't see a constant progression and improvement. But a lot of that, I think, was the supporting cast, like you mentioned. So what is the best? Actually, I'll start with this. What is his ceiling in the NFL? We talked about it before. You mentioned Kirk Cousins. Is that kind of where his ceiling would be in the NFL?
Yeah, and that would be a great turnout. If you're taking him, especially in this class, like the way people talk about this class, Kirk Cousins, he's not the answer for a lot of teams. He might not be the answer for any team, But he is a good quarterback. He produces extremely well. He's extremely consistent. If Kenny Pickett is that, like that's a solid pick. Like it gives you a chance to win every year. You kind of have to figure out like the nuances there. And if he's in that range where it's, Derek Carr, Ryan Tannehill, I think that would be his ceiling. I'd be hesitant to say he gets even that good personally. I think he's just like kind of like a below average type of starter. Can he be Jimmy Garoppolo? Like Jimmy Garoppolo is not very good, but he's okay in the right system. I could see that, and teams stick with those guys. So it will be interesting to see. Like I guess if I were to give him like a true comp, I guess I give Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz is like, as far as like not ability and like physical traits, but more so like a couple teams have given up on him already. He's going to be a little bit more of like a journeyman. He has to play at a really high level to stick at this point. I think that's going to be Pickett. Like as teams get less patient with their quarterback, I think that's going to be him, where he's just going to have to constantly be proving himself year in, year out. And he may do that. Like he just might be that guy that just shuts everybody up and plays well enough, like Kirk Cousins kind of has.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Last thing. This has been running wild, I guess, the last few weeks. Are you a hand size guy? Because I've got to know. I don't know what to think.
No, in the sense of it would not disqualify me from taking anybody. Yes, in the sense of I've seen Jared Goff and Ryan Tannehill fumble so many times when they get hit. The strip sacks are a real thing with smaller hands. So, it's a concern. It's one of those things where if you have 4 other red flags, it's another red flag, and they're probably counting you out. If it's like you have all these great features, but you're basically Andrew Luck, but you have small hands, I'm probably not going to care too much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a complete disqualifier for me, but when that's the cherry on top, it's probably going to rule him out for me.
Okay. So it's something to consider. Definitely don't take it too far over the top. Good takeaway there.
Yeah, especially because he has those unique hands, because he's got the double joint. Like I mean, he can put some heat on the ball. Like he doesn't have like the best arm, but like he can definitely throw the ball pretty hard.
Well, that's everything on Kenny Pickett. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. What's the player comp for Kenny Pickett in the NFL, or maybe the ceiling? So let us know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.